Good morning, everyone. My name is Tony Carcamo, President of Civil CAD Learning Solutions and also President of the DFW BIM Infrastructure User Group. And welcome to another session of Expert Elite World. And today's guest is Steve. So Steve, you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, my name's Steve Hill. I'm based out of Chicago, Illinois. I've been in civil engineering industry for about a little over 20 years now, and been a civil designer, CAD manager for a few different firms, and grew into writing my own apps and things like that for 3D, and grew that business into something that I could go full time with. So this year I just celebrated 3 years full time, and strictly doing programming now, and still offering support and things like that with the products, but really focusing on our workflows in civil, and trying to streamline what I would do as a civil designer, and trying to help people as much as I can in across the board with that. So
yeah, you and I are very similar. We've been in it for 20 plus years and doing CAD management training. The only thing I don't do is programming, but I go around also, just like you, and try to provide support and best I can to other engineering companies. So it's fun. The only thing I don't miss is, as a CAD manager, is trying to be the enforcer to apply company standards. That's something I don't miss.
Yeah.
To be the bad guy in the company. Oh no.
Right.
So that was always the hardest part. Setting company standards was easy. It's enforcing it was the hardest part as a CAD manager. So getting people to actually follow it, from designers to engineers to upper management. So so when did you start using Civil 3D or even Autodesk products?
Well, I started with Autodesk products. It would have been, Autodesk products were back in high school. I started on CAD 3.0. It was a DOS version. Lucky enough, we had it. And I had a class called Engineering Graphics, I think my freshman year of high school, and just loved, I was big in a paint shop. I drew in a paint shop all the time as a kid, and I saw AutoCAD, and I'm like, this is incredible. And so I got into that and started learning 3.0. In high school, we had a career center, and so I went to the career center, and I switched over to version 12.
Okay.
And really, they started us on board drafting, and I already knew a little bit of AutoCAD there, but really got on the CAD side the second year, and then got into an engineering firm using Land Desktop, and that's boss gave me the books of Land Desktop, said, here you go, learn it, figure it out. And so I helped them transition over to 3D back in 2005 when it first started out. So
I remember Land Desktop. We used it right when I got out of the Air Force, joined my very first engineering company in San Antonio, and they were using Land Desktop. So we used it for about, I want to say 4 years, and then we slowly transitioned into Civil 3D when it came out, 2004 or 5, the very first version. Yeah, that was tough, that transition, and I was in charge with another guy trying to get all the templates set up, and we took one class. So there was just a lot of bugs, and and there was really not much place you can go for support. You either call tech support. There wasn't a bunch of blogs, and there wasn't a bunch of YouTube channels. YouTube wasn't even around. So
that's honestly what got me going to AU. 2005 was my first Autodesk University in Orlando, and I really pushed hard. We had another guy that had gone to one previously, but trying to get us over to Civil 3D, and knowing that Desktop was going to be phased out, that I was the one to go. So and I took all I think what they call them, the power track or classes for Civil 3D. Back then, those were great. Just learned so much so quick.
Did you ever go to any of those Augie CAD camps or CAD camps around?
I didn't.
Yeah.
I didn't do any Augie CAD camps.
Yeah. They had one in Dallas. When I moved to Dallas 2006, I helped implement Civil 3D to the next big company I was at. And so I'm like, I need to get more training. So I went and to one local one here. I'm pretty sure it's here. I don't think it was in San Antonio. And I met James Wedding and Lynn Allen for the first time. So I was like, oh, this is pretty cool. It was like 6 classes, breakout rooms. And there was somebody else was there that was from Autodesk. I'm like, okay, that's cool. So I started going to user groups after that. So, and it had several that was being led by resellers. Of course, now all the resellers are not doing user groups anymore. And I can understand why. I mean, it takes time, costs money to do user groups. Are they getting their return on investment back from all these events and stuff? So, one time they actually had one of the user groups actually had a all-day event, training event here in Dallas. I went to that one. It was pretty cool. But yeah, I started, with, I want to say, I don't think my high school had AutoCAD unless I didn't know about it. I think I would have took it. We're out in East Texas, so out in the country. So, yeah, I probably would have definitely taken it if there was an AutoCAD class. So I remember taking like a DOS, programming class. But there wasn't a whole lot of options, early 90s. So out in the small farm in Texas.
Yeah, I was in mid-Michigan.
Yeah.
And actually the Lansing area of Michigan is where I'm originally from. And there was like I think a user group down in Detroit area, but I mean, almost a 2-hour drive to get down there.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
There just wasn't anything close. I think there was a couple of user groups on the architecture side in the Lansing area, but there wasn't anything on civil or desktop side. And so it was really, you're searching the internet, trying to figure things out. And, but the Autodesk University and other, there was a few little reseller trainings and things like that then that I would do. But yeah, it was a lot of trying to spend time figuring it out on your own. Read books, manuals. So
and back then it came with a book, if you remember.
It
came with a book and everything. So I don't do that no more. I guess they just make you it's online digital. Excuse me. But I didn't even know about Autodesk University until I came to Dallas in probably 2007. I'm like, what is this Autodesk University? And I tried to go, and the company sent 2 people. And I was like, why are you sending an engineer? Like, he doesn't even know Autodesk. I mean, Civil 3D, I'm the one implementing the software. It's like, I never got to go through that company. I'm like, I'm the one teaching people and you only let me go. So it was really weird. They would send engineers that had no clue about the software, and they didn't send the top 2 civil guys, that really should go and kind of suck in that knowledge and come here and then translate it and spread it out to the company,
Right.
But it was very interesting why they did that. But I guess my next question is, so you say you own your own company right now. So you provide like tech support. Do you do custom programming? What other services do you provide for your company?
Right now, it's mostly programming. So I do apps and custom development. So I maintain my own app suite, and then take on any kind of custom development for companies out there. I do offer a little bit of training. I've been asked for it recently, but I just haven't had time. My plate is full at the moment with even on custom programming stuff. I'm out for a month or 2. So it's hard to offer other services like that. A few guys that I sub stuff out to, but it's not huge. So, but I try to post tips and tricks and things like that here and there, but the primary service that I do is around programming. So that could be with subassembly composer. I mean, it could be dynamo programming. It could be, more advanced level of, VB.net or C#.net. Lisp a little bit. I'm not as good with Lisp though. Lisp was always hard for me to figure. Just when you get into the debugging of Lisp, Where
only taken
.NET, it's easier.
Yeah, I've tried to get interested about programming. I took one college class and just lost interest pretty quick. And I guess it just wasn't meant for me. I wasn't, I guess, enthusiastic about the program. I started and like, oh, this is easy. I don't need to really pay attention, for it, but yeah, I didn't do so good in the class. So I've been wanting to try to get into it, but finding the time to is tough. How it is. So you running a company, and you're trying to keep with, all the different things that's going on. Like for myself teaching, I go around teaching. It's tough to keep up with the constant technology of, especially not just one platform, but multiple platforms, and multiple versions. I'm like, okay, I'm trying to keep up with AutoCAD 2017 through 22, and then Civil 3D 17 to 22, and InfoWorks, and then some Navisworks, and some Recap, vehicle tracking, and you're keeping up with all the latest updates. That way you're up to date and you can share that knowledge with the client. So it's tough doing multiple platforms, and then you're doing tech support too. So you're trying to make sure that you're knowledgeable of all the workarounds that's happening around there, and tech support posting that's from Autodesk. So it is tough. So, but I enjoy it. If I didn't enjoy it, I wouldn't be doing it. So that's why, I kind of got out and did my own thing too. So far it's been pretty nice, just a different type of stress. So,
For sure.
But, so training, how do you typically, when you're trying to learn something new, teach yourself how to learn, a new product or a new software? What have you done in the past?
Well, so I'm a hands-on person. I've got to be using it, along with learning it a little bit. And so, in the past, especially like we go back to land desktop days, it would be reading along in the manual and actually doing an exercise. And then I tend to deviate off of the instructional guideline and sort of start to dabble in my own things. At some point in it, and so I'm very hands-on like that, even all the way up to the programming side. I've recently had to learn and get into, switch from WinForm dialogues to WPF, and learning, Windows Presentation Foundation, dialogue design, and all that. It's a lot of searching the internet for how to do something or how to add, a different type of control. And then, I find little bits and pieces of how to do it. And then it's a lot of trial and error from that point, and there's not as much, I don't know. It's interesting. There's not as much manuals anymore. It's a lot of videos and blogs and things like that. And so you're getting your content in chunks. If and here's a little chunk on how to do this, and we go find somewhere else, and here's a little here. And so as you're just kind of accumulating that data, and I kind of handled Civil 3D in the same way, and what's worked best for my workflows, and then for I try to focus on my company too that I was working with, and what our workflows were and what our end game was. Across the civil industry, I mean, there's so many aspects. You got design, you got subdivision design, you got, my recent company I was with, doing a lot of landfill design. The file sizes are drastically different between a landfill and just a typical site design. And some workflows that worked well in, a typical civil site side of things didn't work quite as well on the landfill side. So it's a blend of trying to figure out what you're doing. So I don't know,
I totally understand. I've, like I told the rest of the Expert Elite members, I've just been pretty much self-taught just throughout the years, playing with the software during lunch, late at night. What does this button do? Read somebody's blog, watch a video. I don't ever really go in the forums because you'll get 10 different answers. So I usually just stick to a blog or stick to a video and then train myself. And of course, I'll go to the help menu and say, okay, I still don't understand. So I'll go to the help menu on the software. But it's been, self-taught so far. I'm trying to teach myself a little bit of Revit right now, just get a better understanding of it. And then 3ds Max is another one that one's to me a little more difficult than Revit. So I've dabbled in 3ds Max, I've dabbled in Lumion, I've dabbled in Twin Motions, I've dabbled in SketchUp, and SketchUp is pretty user friendly. So I do like SketchUp. It kind of reminds me of InfraWorks, very user friendly.
Yeah.
You can learn it probably in a matter of 2 or 3 months, master it in 3 months, but yeah, it's pretty all self-taught. And as an instructor, teaching, I always ask the users, how do you learn? What's your best method? How do you learn, something new? And what do you feel comfortable? Because everybody learns in a different way and method. So I've had people that they want handouts. So I'll have to write up a handout, step-by-step direction. They want a nice, very detailed handout. Some people they really want that one-on-one. They didn't like the group sessions. They want that one-on-one interaction of training. So I can understand that. And then some people are repetitive. They want to do something. They want to do it over and over. Can we do it again? Can we do it again? So they want that repetition so they can kind of get familiar with the features and tools. And then some people are visual, watch a video. Can you create me a video? And then that's it. I'm more of a visual person. I can watch a video and I'm probably watch it once or twice and I'm done. I can memorize it. But for me, reading a book, even though I have probably 6 books at home for Civil 3D, I may have cracked those books open maybe 3 times. So 3 times. I just bought it to say in case I ever needed it. But like the Mastering Civil 3D books, I have I have 3 of them. I think it's 2007 or 8, a 12 and maybe a 16. But out of the 3, I may have opened one for, one of those, maybe 2 or 3 times, and that's it. Yeah, I don't know. I have a difficult time reading something than actually doing it, so getting hands-on and actually doing it. So, yeah, that's kind of the way I've learned. So, next question I have is, if you had a tip to share with the users using Civil 3D, what would it be? I don't know if you have your computer in front of me, if you want to share something, your screen.
I don't have Civil 3D ready to go. I wasn't anticipating screen share, but yeah, I got a couple of tips that we can quickly chat about that I want to mention. So, in the landfill side of things, one thing I often ran into different from civil site is, and this is probably passes through to other stuff now that more people are using LiDAR surfaces for your existing surfaces and whatnot. But we would use these massive existing surfaces that were scanned, and there was just so much data. And so grading groups just didn't work well when you're projecting down to a surface. And there's often times there was issues in grading group to project out. There's just too much data in the existing surface. And so the workaround was to, create a surface that cast out beyond your existing surface at whatever grade you wanted to go at. And if you go to the Analyze tab on your ribbon, there's a minimum distance between surfaces command. And you could find that 0 line where everything intersects, and then I would utilize that. It would extract, or it would plot the 0 line for you.
Yeah.
And that's essentially where a grading group would tie into. And so when I was dealing with any kind of complex surfaces, I always found that far faster than trying to project a grading group out, just because you'd be sitting there for a while waiting for this grading group to project out. But then I had a workflow, because you're often projecting out these surfaces and tying into this complex surface, and you're projecting out at multiple points, and so that you have to kind of blend this boundary line of your surface together and where it's going to tie in. And so I would run this minimum distance between surface multiple times, and would plot that polyline. And to join everything to kind of create my surface boundary edge, there's a nice little Civil 3D command that's, I don't think it's very well known.
Mhm.
It's called Linework Shrink Wrap.
Yep, I remember that. Yep.
Yeah, and I mean, you can just test it out with just some simple shapes like rectangles and triangles and circles, and make them overlap each other.
Yeah.
And work shrink wrap, and it will grab all the full boundary of those entities that you've
Yeah.
selected. And so I've always just loved that command. Just how it works is just it's slick. And so I would use that on, and get all these minimum distance between surfaces, and then line work shrink wrap it together to get my boundary, and then make some if I need to. And then I'll maybe even ultimately turn that into a feature line and drape it on the surface. So it's always it was kind of a pain. I always wish there was a easier way, but I understand like the data is just so too large for the computer to handle. And project out with all those calculations going on. So, and if I wasn't able to thin out the data before doing it, then that was the workflow I had. And so.
Yeah, no, that's a good one. Yeah, I remember that command. I've used it a few times in the past. So I don't know if you remember 2007 and 9, how buggy grading groups were. The constant crashing. People would try to use grading groups for like a subdivision, the pads, and they're using their grading groups. And then when they actually start touching each other, sometimes it would crash the computer. So they overlapped each other. So that was a tough, it left a really bad taste for a lot of people, especially in like 2009. And they were kind of resistant and using it again. But now it's a lot more stable. Yeah, that's a good tip. So what do you think the Civil 3D, where do you think, your personal opinion, where you think Civil 3D is going to be, or even InfoWorks, in maybe 10 years?
Yeah, I mean, in 10 years, there was a lot of rumors flying around for a while of what might be coming with it, but I think Autodesk is really showing a lot of light that they're really trying to bridge the gap between all their suites, or all their products. And so I really think that's kind of what we're going to still have in 10 years is utilizing these products. I mean, Civil 3D, I mean, our deliverables are 2D plan sheets mostly. And until the municipalities start requiring a 3D model, for their review process, nothing's going to change there. And so, and I don't see that really happening in 10 years.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I've only seen very, very few small, like, construction companies actually use the 3D model for construction. Those are big construction companies. Most of the clients I deal with are more mid-size, and the contractor's like, no, I just need a 2D drawing. I don't need anything else, and I need a PDF of the plans. And same thing for the city. They don't, when you submit your stuff back to the city, CAD files and stuff, they just want 2D CAD files. They don't care about, the 3D model. They don't even ask for shape files or anything they can put into their software. Yeah. So I think it'd be a long time before, we move that way, in that direction. So
now I've had cities come back and say they want GIS data for all their piping, built for what was actually constructed and things like that. And you can extract that out of Civil 3D and get that to them. That's helpful, but it still doesn't replace the plan review process. And for a typical site plan, people are going to want to see a 2D plan sheet.
And the thing I struggle with is I try to take advantage of like the BIM 360 docs and Autodesk docs, sharing these models to your clients, but they don't want to learn anything. They just want to see a PDF, see what we're designing for them, and that's it. They're not interested in looking at 3D models and stuff, like the clients I deal with. They're like, no, let's just show me a PDF of the plans, and that's it. And so you have to educate the clients too, not just the city, and but it's also the clients. So and some clients will be on board and some won't, but me personally, I think I've mentioned this before. I just wish that we could, even though they're all programmed differently, they could all be in one bundle where we can switch workspaces. That would be my dream, where I can have one product and then go to Workspace and flip it over to InfoWorks and flip it over to Navisworks and flip it over to 3ds Max and Revit. And even if it was just a Revit Lite, imagine if it was like a Revit Lite version and inside the, Civil 3D package, you can flip back and forward. I mean, yeah, I would love for me to flip over and be inside of InfoWorks and flip over and be inside of Navisworks, those are all kind of engineering products. But I doubt that will happen. So, you can only wish and dream.
Yeah, are you saying to be able to quickly be able to view the same model and all that?
Yeah. So if somebody
Yeah.
shared something with me and say, "Oh, here's our Navisworks model," I can just go to my Workspace, switch it over to Navisworks, and then open that model up easily.
Yeah.
And
Well, I
Recap,
think
I'm surprised Recap is not something that's not embedded either. Like we used to could bring in point clouds very easily in Civil 3D. I don't say very easily, but now they, they try to push us to use Recap, and like, why not just embed that product into Civil 3D? I don't know if it's different programming, but I think that one should be embedded into Civil 3D, Recap.
Yeah, that one I would think could be, but yeah, I'm not sure on the engines and how all that process is. I know you got the additional commands, because we used to have the point cloud feature in Civil 3D, but the filtering was
it was not that good
to what you could do, and that's where Recap comes into play, and other software to filter out the points. But with how many points you're getting on scans now, it's just
millions and billions of points.
Yeah, it's wild. I think that would be helpful, but I think it is sort of heading in that direction, to where your models are going to live on the cloud. In some regard, and that's going to be. I can see that being good, but it also it's going to be difficult to implement through, especially in government agencies and stuff. I mean, and how they're not going to want their data released to be on Autodesk Cloud. They're going to want to have their own sort of cloud internal. There's going to be some odd things there, but I think for the general public entities, I think it could get there to where you have your alignments stored out this way, your profiles are over here, your surfaces are over here, and and then you can pass them between the different products. But yeah, it's not going to be just a switch of workspace. You're still going to have to. There's going to be some processing time to download that locally or whatever. But
speaking with someone that was in the military, security was a big issue. I don't know how many classes we had to take for cybersecurity and stuff like that. And I remember at one of the AU classes, we talked about that. They were talking about the cloud and moving stuff to the cloud. And this is several years ago, probably like 4 or 5 years ago. And it was an interesting topic because there was a bunch of government workers there. And like, we're never going to use that product. You could try it, but you're not going to get any of the government or military people to use this product. And we used Autodesk products in our base. And so I can definitely agree, like, there's a lot of military programs are not going to be putting their stuff in the cloud. So they're going to get some resistance there. And it could potentially lose clients, because of that, and I don't know about the Army bases and Navy bases and the Marine bases and stuff, if they're tight with their security and cybersecurity and putting stuff in the cloud. But I know the Air Force was when I was in. So I don't know what it is nowadays, but yeah, they were very, very strict on internet and cybersecurity and all that stuff. So very definitely. So when did you, I guess, join the Expert Leader, get invited into the group?
It was a couple years back.
Yeah.
I think it's been a little over 2 years for me now was Expert member. happened, well, I, came down to some of your conferences that you were holding there in Dallas, and
Mhm.
really got to know you better down there, and met a few other expert elites there as
Yeah.
well. And then got involved in the Directly program.
Yeah. Yeah.
Where we're answering, helping to
Yep.
answer tickets for Autodesk.
Yeah. Are you still doing that?
Yeah, I still do it as I'm working. If there's something that I enjoy helping people.
Yeah.
And if it's something that I can, answer a ticket on, and and it sounds interesting to me and intrigues me, then I'll take it and see what I can what I can to assist. So yeah, it's been good. For the most part, it's been a good program, I think, and I think I've had good feedback from customers.
Yeah.
That they've enjoyed it, and have enjoyed the response times and how quick they get answers, and you get reoccurring customers. But yeah, it was through that, I think, through that channel.
Yeah.
That I met a lot of expert elite members, and they realized where I was at, and my passion for helping others, and which is right in line with all of the expert elite criteria and whatnot. And so that's kind of how I got brought in. So
yeah, I think I got invited into the group. I think it was either 2015. I think it was 2015 when I got invited in. And that time I was extremely involved with a lot of the beta teams. So with Civil 3D, InfoWorks, AutoCAD, and the mobile platforms. And I think my blog was still up and running at the time. No, I think I stopped that year. That's when I stopped doing the blog. I had my the blog that I was posting on there. I think with the blog, because I wasn't heavily involved in the forums, with the blog and being heavily involved with a lot of the beta, a lot of one-on-one. It wasn't really just through the forums on the beta forums. It was actually a lot of one-on-ones I had with Autodesk, giving a lot of feedbacks and stuff like that, especially at AU. But it's been fun. I was on Directly for about a little over a year, and but I just don't have a lot of free time to sit there and answer tech support questions. So I'm doing design for clients, all kinds of design projects and stuff like that, and training, tech support. I do tech support, and then we also like yourself, we provide some custom programming. So if people don't know, I actually use Steve's apps, so the Pipe Network app suite. So great product. So if you never used it, definitely check it out on the Autodesk App Store.
Thanks.
But yeah, I definitely every time I train, I share Steve's apps to the customers. So definitely check it out. But yeah, training is it's tough. Next question is, are you part of any kind of local organizations that you do around your community, or anything like charities you want to share?
Well, I'm involved in my neighborhood church that we have here in Chicago. So I do play in the worship band occasionally with them,
Cool.
and serve in that capacity. And then I've been looking at, I live on the north side of Chicago in a neighborhood called Rogers Park, and it's just on the very northern edge, borders Evanston, and there. Sure, everybody has heard there's pockets of crime going on across the city, and just there's a lot of kids out there that need assistance with just time to in help. So I've really been more recently been entertaining the idea and looking into how I might be able to mentor some of them and teach them, the software, AutoCAD. I mean, some of them don't have the resources that we do, or that we ever had, to learn this kind of these kind of applications. Looking into partnering up with a neighborhood deal that might help me to take a little bit of time and give back, because I've I've thought about that myself a lot. Like I feel like I try to always remember, those that mentored me over the
Yeah.
years,
Yeah.
both in work setting and outside of work setting.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people that, I never got to where I am today without. And so I think it's important that we, be trying to give back and mentor others. So I mean, with COVID going on recently, I haven't really been doing much outside of those things, but that's kind of where I'm looking to head here.
Yeah. I'm going to try. I mentioned earlier, I was trying to do Big Brother, Big Sister program
Mm-hmm.
here in Dallas, and I made some contacts. I'm hoping here pretty soon, now that everything's completely open in Texas, to start, into that program. So I think that'd be good. Just sharing my knowledge to a young person, and give them some guidance the best as I can. you know. So
Mm-hmm.
I do contribute some contribution with sponsor. Let me rephrase that. I was sponsored to companies called Compassion. So I adopted a child. It's let me give you the website. And so the website. So it's called Compassion International, and it's
Oh, okay.
in Jesus' name. So you adopt a child in one of these, kind of the third world countries in South America, Central America.
Mhm.
And so I adopted a child, and you sponsor a child, and so it's been nice, trying to help, try to make a change for them the best you can. So
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
I know my parents, they used to go a lot on missionaries. My parents, my mom and dad would go on missionaries to Central America and stuff like that through their church. So I think that's going to be a personal goal, maybe later on, and try to do my very first missionary, go somewhere in Central America. Um,
sure.
I'm Honduran. I still got a lot of family in Honduras, and yeah, it's tough down there. So, um,
Yeah,
and
I did a trip to Russia
mhm,
in it was 2002. Went to Novosibirsk, Russia
yeah,
for a trip like that with church back in Michigan, and
yeah,
that was it was really a really cool experience to
yeah.
just have. I mean, just to live with. I mean, we actually lived with host families over
Oh,
there.
wow.
It's something. It stuck with me.
Yeah,
Almost 20 years later, and I think about it often, and think about those people often,
yeah,
and just seeing a completely different world than what we live in here,
yeah.
in the United States. And so it was good to get,
Opens your eyes. Yeah, yeah,
so for
yeah.
sure.
I mean, I lived out in East Texas in a small farm, and I thought we were poor, but then you see other things in other worlds, and like, man, we had it good compared to other countries, you know.
Yeah.
Uh, and so, but yeah, are you? And this question is, are you part of any other Autodesk programs and departments you kind of coordinate with? You got the Expert Elite program. Are you part of any other programs?
Yeah, I'm involved in the beta, the AutoCAD Customer Council, and then also the Civil beta group, involved on those. And I try to take time to install the beta update and do some
Yeah,
testing when I can. Lately, it's been a little bit less than what I've
yeah,
had time to do, but I try to stay informed of what's going on at least, and
yep,
you know, and might not be involved in the initial beta, but
yeah.
definitely the series of updates once the product comes out. So
Yeah, so when I first started and got invited into the beta, yeah, I was heavily involved. I was in there making comments and stuff, but every year it's gotten a little less and less. And this year, I barely got involved. I just kind of looked what was posted, didn't really, really test it myself that much. I
mhm.
did a lot of more one-on-one with the departments, and that's what I kind of enjoyed more, is the one-on-one session with each department, talk about
Yeah.
certain tasks, besides
Mhm.
going into the actual beta forums and having a discussion there. I like that one-on-one. So I gave more of my feedback on more of the H&H department section of it, where it's anything related to hydraulics and hydrology and stormwater. That's where I kind of focus my feedback on. So, and that's kind of part I enjoy, is that part of engineering, is the H&H side of it. So, but let's see the next question here. Are you going to be teaching any classes? Did you submit any classes for AU this year?
I did not submit any classes this year for AU.
Yeah.
I was contemplating submitting some, but I'm not excited about the side of it again.
That's what I've been hearing from
last
everybody
year.
else.
It was I helped participate in a few things with the virtual last year, and maybe it was the answer bar.
Yep, did that.
It was kind of a difficult process, and I'm willing to help with things again this year, but it was just so hard to, like, the timeline of doing things and then having to pre-record it, and would rather, I don't know, I'm ready for us to get back in person.
Yeah, definitely. That's what I've been hearing from a lot of folks. And I was hoping this year they would make it optional, like, hey, you can come, sign a waiver, we're not reliable if you get sick, okay? And they would have a few instructors. And instructors can come and teach too. They would sign a form and you can come teach. And guess what? I guarantee you thousands will still show up,
Right.
And I would have gone and submitted a class and stuff. I think they should have made it optional. They could have held it here in Texas since it's open, besides, over there in Vegas, I don't think they're 100% open. They're probably 50% open or something. So, but they could have easily had it here in Texas. So, but all right, well, that's all the questions I really had. I really enjoyed spending time with you today, and hopefully, if somebody wants to follow you, where do they go to follow you?
Yeah, I'm on Twitter. I think it's Hill STE0616 is my personal, and then there's also the Red Transit Twitter handle there. But so you can find those on my website as well, redtransitconsultants.com. And I mean, I'm on the forums. I'm out there. So
all right, well, I appreciate your time and have a good weekend.
Yeah, nice talking to you too, Tony. Take care.